Last time on Wengo's workshop, we forged out this Bowie knife, profiled it out, ground in the bevels, fitted up to the handle material and the guard, and got it ready for heat treatment. So here's the playback of what happened last time. Once this is done, we'll get right into the heat treatment. With that done, let's go ahead and light up this forge and get this knife heat treated. It's 1084 steel, so it'll be a pretty straightforward heat treatment, and I'll be trying to apply a hamon, so I'm using New Claire's 1800, which is like a hamoning clay or whatever you would call it. And so I am just applying it to the blade now, and then what I'll do is I will just hold it in front of the forge, and that will dry it prior to actually doing the heat treatment. Once I can tell all the clay is dry, I will bring the knife to non-magnetic, hold it for a little bit, and then go ahead and quench it in Parks 50 oil. The thing came out quite hard, so I was very happy about that. Next, it'll go in the oven for 2 tempering cycles of 2 hours apiece at 400 degrees. Once that's done, I will take the knife and throw a file guide on, and I'll go ahead and finish grinding the bevels. The file guide will also help me clean up the plunge lines and make sure that they're perfectly even on both sides. And I will finish grinding the bevels to a full flat grind, as well as cleaning up the false bevels. So here's the knife once I'm done cleaning it up. Now it'll be time to hand sand, which is going to take me forever. So here's the finished product after I hand sand the knife. I actually went ahead and etched it to see how the hamon came out, and it did not come out very good. So we're going to go ahead and finish with a satin finish. I was pretty upset about that because I've never had a hamon not come out, like at least to where I was reasonably happy with it. But in this case, the hamon really just didn't come out well. So we're going to go ahead on with a satin finish and, hopefully just learn from the mistakes. So here's the knife with the guard and the handle material. After I hand sanded the knife, I actually had to remake the guard because the openings were too big. And I ended up making 2 more guards before I had one that was reasonably, okay. It's still not something I'm super happy with, and we'll talk about that later on in the build. I also swapped out the spacer that was green micarta with a carbon fiber spacer. So you're seeing here I'm going to trace out an oval and shape the spacer, and then I'm going to shape the guard as well. I'm also going to go ahead and etch the guard just to darken it up a little bit. So now we're going to go ahead and do the glue up. I'm using West Systems G-Flex epoxy. And in this instance, the knife sits pretty well standing up straight. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and do the glue up as such. I will fill the handle material as much as possible with the epoxy. And then I will put the spacer on, and I will go ahead and slide the knife into place and put the pin in place. And then I'll allow it to set just standing vertically. I thought this was a little bit risky not using any clamps, but it ended up working out just fine. So here's the finished result of the glue up. Now I'll go ahead and finish grinding off the pin and flattening the block. Now I'll go ahead and mark each side of the block to make sure that it lines up with the blade itself. So here you can see it was off just a hair on each side. So I just need to flatten it to those lines, and then we can continue. Now I'm going to go ahead and shape the handle. After that, I will use files to clean it up, and then I will hand sand it out. And so here we are after shaping and hand sanding the handle. Now I'll go ahead and apply some wax using my buffing wheel. Now the last thing to do is go ahead and sharpen the knife up. I'll start with 80 grit and create an even burr all the way down the edge of the knife on both sides. Once that happens, I'll move all the way up to 400 grit. Once I get even burrs all the way across the edge with 400 grit, I'll use a leather belt to strop the knife, and then it should be sharp. So here's the final result of the knife. I'm okay with it overall, and it was a good learning experience, but there's quite a few things that I'm unhappy with. Number one, the hamon did not come out properly. Number two, I had to make 3 guards, and even the third guard I'm not super happy with. And I could not, fix it too much at that point because the steel was already hardened, so I couldn't use files to fix the blade itself. And then the guard fit up was super difficult because I was working with thin steel, and I didn't want to thin the tang any more than 1/8 of an inch. So I couldn't create much of a step up, which made getting that fit up difficult. And then the fact that after I heat treated, I had to make another one, and I couldn't really, file the knife itself to fix it. But either way, it was a good learning experience, and I definitely know that I could do better on the next one. If you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video. And if you want to be notified when I upload new videos, hit the notification bell. Also, go follow me on Instagram. And as always, thanks for watching.